I'm just gonna angle this so I can actually see questions if they pop up. All right. Hi, everybody. All right. So let's see. Today is we're gonna go over some of the basic stuff that we've been going over many times because we have people here that haven't experienced some of the material. It's also always a good reminder. And also, there were some questions about weighted trainers and things. So we will also be talking about weighted trainers just a little bit. I got a little bit of advice that I can pass on to people. But first, just going to give it probably another minute or two as it's just about 7 o'clock. So just give people a minute or two to kind of trickle in. I just want to check in. How is everybody doing? Oh, I see a cat dancing on screen. Good. Okay. There we go. Now it's set up so I can see everybody. Okay. All right. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right. That's a pretty full beginning. So let's get started. So put your sword like object aside, and we'll start with some quick warm-ups. All right. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Big circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, arm swings. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Jumping jacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we're going to go down to sumo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Reach down to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Deep lunge. And 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Other way. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now this time back to the right, but put the foot up. 2, 2, 3, 4. Same thing on the other side. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh. All right. Feet together. We're going to do some knees. Counterclockwise first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Great. All right. Grab your sword-like object, and we'll do some warm-up cuts. I do not have space for my longsword. Okay. All right. All right. Everyone ready? So, beginning in the High Tag, we're going to cut Oberhau to Einhorn. Und eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. All right. The long point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. All the way down to Oliver. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, now we're going to do right Oberhau or cut 1. Okay, und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch your feet. Back into the High Tag. We're going to cut left Oberhau. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sehr gut. Okay, now we're going to do left Oberhau, transition into the Nebenhut, and cut right Unterhau. Und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Okay, switch your feet. Continuing in the high Vomtag, or the Lukensland. Going to strike right Oberhau, followed by left Unter. Und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we're going to begin in the left middle hut. We're going to cut Mittelhau to the right and then to the left. Okay? Und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Begin on the right. You're going to now cut to the left and back. 6, 7, 8, 9 und 10. Good. Okay. So now what we'll do is we're going to begin in the right ox. We're going to do Oberhau with step. Okay. Und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now, into the right Nebenhut, we're going to strike Oberhau. Und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Switch sides, so we're now going to go into the left ox, and we are going to strike Oberhau. Und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Into the left Nebenhut. We will strike from the Nebenhut. Oberhau. Und 1, 2, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. All right. Now what we'll do, I want to practice cutting from the Lugensland or the High Vomtag to the Vahangen, okay? So what we'll do is start with your left foot forward, go into that High Vomtag, and what we're going to do is we're going to step out with our right foot and do an Unterhau to the Vahangen, okay? Und eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. Alright, switch sides. So start with that right foot forward, and then we're going to cut to the Vahangen, which defends the right side, right? Which is guard number 8. Alright? Und eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, and 10. Okay, into the right flug. And then we're going to first go from the right flug, we're going to thrust into the left ox. Und eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. Okay, we're going to go from the right flug into the right ox, and that can be either done with a gathering step or a passing step. Okay, und eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. Sehr gut. Okay, into the left flug. You will go from left flug to right ox. Und eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. Now, from the left Flug into the left ox. Alright. Und eins. Zwei. Drei. Vier. Remember, arms first, then step. Fünf. Sechs. Sieben. Acht. Neun. 10. All right, into the long point. We're going to thrust and retract. Und eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. All right, it's very hot. Everyone grab some water. Okay. All right, so real quick, what we'll do next is one of the things that we've been talking a lot about is the numbering of the cuts. So we'll go over real quick just how, just in general, how we've been kind of numbering them to kind of make some of the exercises we've been doing a little simpler. So let's do a quick review. All right, so cut along with me, grab your sword-like object. All right. So, let's go ahead and start. Let's start in the long point. All right, let's do the full thing. All right. I also apologize. I forgot to salute in. I promise I'd be better about that. So next week will be way better. I apologize in advance. Anyway, so what we'll do is we'll start in the long point, and we're going to cut one, which is also known as the right overhow. All right. So let's start in the long point. Up to high vom tag, just cut one. That, cut one. All right, and if you switch your feet, cut two, left overhow. So, cut one, switch your feet, cut two. Good. Now, cut three is go into Nebenhut from this position. And cut. Cut 3 is also known as right Unterhau. All right. So back to the long point. We're going to cut 1. Switch our feet. Cut 2. Cut 3. All right. And then we're going to switch our feet again as we come back to the Nebenhut on the opposite side. Cut 4. Cut 4 is left Unterhau. All right. Now we're going to go from here into the Mittelhut, which is kind of this horse stance, or if anyone's on horse riding, that. All right. And from here, we're going to lower the sword into the Mittelhut. We're going to cut 5. And then reverse. Cut 6. Come back up. Cut 7. Cut 8. All right, so let's do them all again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sehr gut. Okay, now I'm going to call them out, and I'm going to watch folk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out the number, and I want to see people do the cut. All right. All right. We'll make it easy. Everyone into long point, please. We're going to do cut 8 first. Cut 7. Cut 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Excellent. All right, let's start. Back to long point, please. Cut number 2. Cut 4. Cut 8. Cut 1. Cut 3. Cut 5. Good. All right. I think people got it. I'll also push out on the Discord a PDF that has this very basic cutting chart on it. So what we'll do now is we'll kind of do a quick review of the guards as well. This is all actually this is the a printout of the PDF, mostly to spite Joe. No. Sorry, Joe. So let's just do a review of the wards. Now, when I say the wards, it's not necessarily meaning they're different than the Lega. These are the Versetzen, the actual act of displacing someone's incoming strike. All right, so we'll begin with the first is here, this kind of Verhangen, this ox. So 1. Now, the easiest way to remember that this is the first guard is that if your sword was, say, if your messer was, say, in scabbard, and you were to draw your messer, this would be, and then put your hand, and I guess it's longsword, so this would be first guard. Yeah. Now, this guard protects your left side from incoming strike, and you can hold this really high if you need to. You can hold it low, relatively low. So in general, it's a Verhangen that protects the left side. Here, middle or low, high, middle, low. So first, right? Now, the second is here. It's Alber on the right. Yeah. It's a really good way if a Geisling is coming in. A Geisling is when people start doing that low leg strike or some type of. I've seen people do the middle how too. Just instead of just having to get out of the way, you can simply place your sword down, and it creates a nice wall of steel. And then there's some later on we'll learn some reposts from that. All right, so that's 2. 3 is simply Flug on the right, but it's the active use of Flug. So as a strike would be coming in, it would be bam, right? And one thing you'll notice with all of these, whatever side is being attacked, that foot is back. So in this case, for the third guard, Flug on the right, I have parried, but my foot is back. So if my right foot is forward and a strike is coming in, it is safest for me to move that foot backwards or to take a step forward. So either by moving forward or by moving back, changing that space to put the side that's being attacked back. So 3. So this is 3. Uh, fourth is now transition to Flug on the left. All right. Now, folks who have a classical fencing background will notice a lot. These numbers we align. I align these numbers with the classical fencing system to make it easier, so I don't confuse people who have that background. So that being said, 5 and 6 don't apply to longsword. Don't do them; you'll hurt your wrists. So we're going to skip right to 7th. 4, 5, 6, 7th. Or no, I'm sorry. We're going to skip probably right. Yeah, so 7th. 7th is just boom, Alber on the left. All right. Again, pairing like an Unterhau or Geisling or something, a really low Mittelhau. So 4, don't worry about 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Now, the last one, the last two, 8th, Verhangen, held on the left side, that protects the right. And then the final one, which is kind of the Hail Mary, is the St. George's ward, or it doesn't really 9th, I guess, but it's just basically putting your sword above your head with your other hand supporting it, and that can be. I always suggest making sure your dominant hand is on the handle, the hilt, and this your offhand is underneath. It doesn't have to necessarily be that way, but you're going to get better results because usually what comes from here is some type of follow-up strike. So I always try to make sure that the St. George's parry is protected here. There's some really fun thrusts that kind of and grapples that kind of come from that we'll get to at some point. So let's review those again. All right. So this is kind of our resting position. I don't have a sword too handy that will fit in this space. Otherwise, I'd but kind of sword down, sword kind of hovering just above the foot or on the floor. All right. So the first guard, first, second, third, fourth, 7th, 8th, 9th. Yep. All right, let's do that again. So let's start here. First, second, third, fourth, 7th, 8th, 9th. First, so firing first, second, third, fourth, 7th, 8th, 9th. Yeah, an important part of the St. George's parry is actually, and also the Verhangen as well, to make sure that they're not too close to your head, right? A lot of times when I see especially newer students that witness kind of the flow of the hanging parry, it's a lot of times the sword goes over the head, and that, or too close, or very, very close to the head, and that can be bad because as that other sword's coming in, it is going to push down on this sword, right? So Verhangen, you want it out in front of you, out in front of you, and up a little bit. The fact that when it gets to here, it's because pressure has been applied, and that is a really important part of this ward. If someone's sword meets your sword here and there's not a lot of pressure on it, you don't want to leave here because it's going to put you in a really vulnerable place. There are things you can do from that, but that's a later class. So when you go to the Verhangen, you want here, so that way you can feel pressure coming in. Same thing with the St. George's parry. You don't want to keep this too close to your head, especially the couple of times I've actually used this in open sparring. It's always been against someone who's like some mountain of a person, and usually I tend to, I don't want to say take a knee, but bend my knee, get lower on the knees, and push this weight up, right? partially because I'm waiting for that incoming blow, and also because from here, it's easier to spring up and out, right? So that is a quick review of the 8 cuts and the 9 wards. Does anybody have any questions before we move on? No? Okay, cool. So let's talk about weighted trainers. Who here is in general? Yay! I love it, seeing all the different flavors of weighted trainers. This is great. Um, uh, um, and so I just wanted to go over like a few safety tips because we're getting a lot of questions about what's the best way to go about kind of using these things. One of the I think the most important thing to remember when using the weighted trainers is that it's never going to be an exact analog to actually cutting with a sword, right? Simply because it is a heavier object. The eventual goal is to be able to stop it when you want to, but it is not always in the beginning. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very taxing on the wrists, and sometimes, especially if we're doing a full swing, if you notice, like during our warm-up cuts, I wasn't cutting at full intensity because I'm using a weighted trainer. So I guess that would be the first tip: is not dial back the intensity when you use the weighted trainer. The things you want to focus on are the body mechanics, and we talked a little bit about this in our lecture on Tuesday when the subject came up about trying to break down your body movements and clean up all the little things. Let's say we're going to work on the simplest thing, right Oberhow, with a weighted trainer. What I don't want to do is just pick it up and start swinging and hard as fast as I can for a couple of reasons. A, it's going to kill my wrists, it's going to kill my back. But you're not going to gain anything from it because, again, using this is not completely analogous to using a longsword. So you want to make sure that the mechanics are all there, right? And if you see, that was me doing a cut, but it's already kind of putting extra tax on my wrist here. So you want to do the cut, but it's also really important to work on that transition, right? One thing to really focus on as well, again, like I said, it's all about the little pieces, right? Like starting in the Vomtag you want to start in, be it here, especially with a weighted trainer, I recommend here, casting the tip out and to the right angle and making sure that the left arm is doing what it's supposed to be doing. With the weighted trainer, I do give my grip a little bit more of an angle, mostly because this is round and my hand slips. Make sure that cut comes through, but then when you're doing that transition, this is the key part. You want it to go through because you don't want to stop it too hard because then your wrists are going to do this, right? But what you don't want to do is swing it and let the sword tell you where it's going, right? Because that's completely out of control. Even if this is a really good cut, it doesn't matter. Like I could cut that, even if it's a perfect 45-degree cut through tatami, it becomes completely useless once it passes the object I'm trying to cut. And if you let the momentum take it, then you're practicing letting your sword just kind of do whatever it wants. So weighted trainers in this case are really good because then you can practice using that core strength to contain the sword and work on that transition, right? Practice finishing the cut and letting it come back. So that's something to think about. One of the basic, I'm trying to remember, it's been so long since I've done, there's an official regimen of weighted trainer stuff that some of the kendo people showed me. I believe it's something you do because they have the men strike, and then they strike all the way kote, and then I don't know what their leg strike is, but it'd be like Jodan or Einhorn, long point, all the way down, and you're kind of and the way they said it is you're wanting the practice here is not just about the cutting, but also about working on the breathing and really focusing on opening your stretching and opening your arms almost to an uncomfortable degree, just so you start getting some of that flexibility, right? So you'd be here opening up. And you want this to go all the way back, unlike we want to do with a real sword again. Not like not what we want to do if we were especially if we were practicing with a sharp. Here and then, and with one thing you'll notice, especially if you aren't, and this is also going to force you in many ways to not use your arms as much, because if we're doing this and you're using your arms, not only are you going to tire your arms and your back out really fast, but you're going to throw your neck out. You're going to throw your back out trying and mess up your wrist trying to stop it, right? Again, smaller intensity, using your arms to move, but using your core to cut. See how little movement is actually in my arms when I do this? Right? So, yeah, and like the big thing is that I was told, if your arms start feeling tired, then you're probably doing it incorrectly. They'll get a little tired, but your wrist should not get tired. And a lot of stopping weighted trainers is about tightening your grip on the sword a little bit, but it's mostly about stopping your hands, right? Like I can stop here. You should be able to stop anywhere, right? It's because it's not about slamming on the brakes, and see how you want to try to get that consistent speed. So that was another, that's just something I think you kind of have to work through. There's a really good messer thing for messer, single-handed messer I can show folks. So it's basically, so you start one leg forward and you hold the weighted trainer out, right? And you simply roll this back and cut. And it's this kind of butterfly cut. Again, not full intensity. Worry about the angle and the transition. Make sure to keep breathing while you do it, because there's no tachikaze to worry about. No sword wind to worry about. And it's for this one, it's especially because it's single-handed, it's okay in this case to let the sword come back a little bit, but you don't want it to be taking complete control. So keep it forward. And as you as your wrists get stronger, you can make it smaller. Keep it flowing. And then switch wrists. I'm not as good with my left hand. Something I have to work on. All right. Trying to think if there was something. There's another weighted trainer thing you can do if you've got space. So you start here, and basically, I don't have space to do it. Otherwise, I'm gonna smash my lamp here. But basically, sword squats. Right. You come up, down, up, and you can do that across your yard, across your house, down the sidewalk. which is a good one. That one makes me hate my knees. Um, does anyone have any specific questions about weighted trainers? Um, I can look around. I can ask around for some more drills and stuff for it. I just haven't um, um, been able to kind of lock down anyone with a specific, whenever I ask for advice, it's always, don't let the thing get too far away from you, and don't fuck up your wrists. But, so yeah, does anyone have any questions about that? No. Okay. Let's see. Still have some time. I kind of sped through all the material here, so I apologize for that. So let's review some of the cutting, the kind of paired technique that we've been practicing. Again, this is something that is in the PDF that's sent out. And so if you take a look at the PDF, it looks something like this. And there's two roles, the player and the feeder. The feeder kind of leads the exercise, while the player is kind of the one who's reacting and doing, kind of responding to the stimuli. Now these, I've divided them up by cuts. So in the first grouping, you're going to learn how to parry cut one, right? And there are the easiest ways to parry cut one in general are the fourth. So if someone's cutting cut one, they're cutting at your left side, right? So fourth, or you could parry with first, right? So those are kind of the so that's what these drills are, and then there's and so what this first set is learning to both parry and also how to respond once that strike has come in. These series are all Gemeinfechten, so it's foundational fencing. There's no none of the Verbogenhau, or it's not overly none of the fancy strikes are here, but it's really good way of responding to an attack and also starting to work on the most important part of fencing, which is Menser. So let's do a little practice. The first one's very simple. We're going to learn the feeder part first. All right, so that means we're going to cut one, and then we're going to then parry in eighth, right? So as the feeder roll. So let's all start in long point. All right, we're going to dispense with the formalities just for now as we get through it. Start in long point. We're going to come into the Vomtag, and we're going to cut one, and then we're going to parry in. Sorry, my brain's a mess today. And then we're going to parry 8, right? So cut one. Parry 8. First, wait. Sorry. It is really warm in here. My brain's mush. So cut one, and then we're going to parry 8. Cut one. So reset. Forget everything I just said. We're going to reset in the long point. We're going to go to Vomtag. Cut one, and then we're going to parry 8. Back to the long point. Hi, Vomtag. Cut one. Parry 8. Long point. Vomtag. Cut one. Parry 8. Vomtag. Cut one. Parry 8. All right, and so that so that's the feeder roll. So cut one, parry 8. Now, what you'll be doing, that means what the player will be doing is going to, because you are practicing warding cut one, you are going to parry 4, and then you're going to cut 2 as a riposte, right? So we'll now practice the part of the player. So from the long point, we're going to parry 4, cut 2, reset, parry 4, cut 2, reset, parry 4, cut 2. Good. All right. So this is going to be a little experiment. We're going to try to do Zoom shadow boxing. So what I'd like, I think there's enough people. Apparently there's a way for people to kind of break out into their own little groups, or is that something I have to set up? Does anyone have experience with Zoom? I don't know how computers work. If we don't, I was going to have people break into little groups and then shadow box with each other in separate little groups. Okay, I don't know how to do that, so we're gonna do. I'm gonna mimic some stuff. I'm going to do some cuts, and then I'll have y'all do the response. Okay. So in this case, I will play the role of the feeder. I will be doing cut 1, to which you will respond with parrying, warding in the 4th. All right. So let's just practice that part. All right. So actually, I'll do the full-on salute. So swords begins on the left shoulder. We'll salute into the ready position, into long point. All right. Now I'm going to go into Vomtog, and then I am going to cut 1, to which all of you parry 4. All right. Let's reset. To cut 1. Good. Reset. Cut. Reset. 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 Good. All right. So now, after you do that parry, what I'd like you to do, after you've done that parry, I want you to now step forward and strike 2. All right. So back to the long point, the reset. I'm going to strike 1. You're going to parry 4. Now you're going to strike 2. Oops, wish I have to do this. All right. All right, let's do that. Let's reset into everyone in the long point. I'm going to cut 1. You parry 4. Now you cut 2. Right? As you're cutting 2, you're attacking my right side, so I have to defend it with 8. All right, so let's reset. And I cut 1. And you strike back, to which I ward. All right. Reset. Good. Yeah, it's a little weird with the response time, but I think this is good. I like what I see. All right, so let's switch roles. All right, I am now going to. You're going to begin. So you're going to cut 1, to which I will respond with the correct parry, and cut 2. So what you'll be doing is you will be cutting 1, and then you will be parrying my return. Okay. So in this case, we begin. We both begin in the long point, and then you go up to Vomtog, and then strike when ready. All right. And begin. Reset. And begin. Back to long point. And begin. And back to long point. And begin. Good. All right. This is the weirdest shadow box. Zoom is so weird. All right. So that's kind of like our first folks who are in our live class did this. Got the shadow box with real live people, and that's always an interesting stimuli too. So let's do the next set. All right. If the feeder roll in this case is going to be the same, it's cut 1, parry 8. All right. But as the player, your riposte is going to be different. So in this case, you're going to, as that first cut comes in, you're still going to parry 4th, right? But instead of doing cutting 2, you're going to cut 4, right? So you're which is a left Unterhau. So you're going to ward with left Flug, strike with left Unterhau. All right. So parry 4, strike 4. All right. So let's try a little shadow boxing with this one. All right. So I'm gonna cut 1. And you'll see actually on the response to this, when you do that, I'm still going to parry in 8th, but I'm going to probably parry a little lower. There is no canonical height for parrying. It's always kind of case by case. It's always about where is that sword coming in. But that's just a note for the feeder. All right, let's go ahead and do a little shadow boxing with this. So we're both going to start in Long Point. It's just too warm in here. All right, I'm going to go up the Vontag, and I'm going to strike 1. You're going to parry 4, and then you're going to return 4, to which I parry. All right, back to the Long Point. I'm going to cut 1. You're going to strike. Good. All right, back to the Long Point. Good. All right. So now, pretty simple, right? Now it's challenge mode. All right. We're going to blend these two together. So as the feeder, I'm going to cut 1 and then parry 8. But now we're going to do it twice. So it's going to look a little something. I'm going to cut 1. You're going to parry 4. Right? Now you're going to cut 2 in response, to which I parry. I'm going to cut 1 again, so you must parry 4. And now you're going to cut 4 in response. All right? All right, let's give it a try. And then we're going to return to the Long Point. All right? So let's begin in the Long Point. Let's give it a try. And 1. Good. And to the Long Point. All right. This time we're just gonna say, let's say the numbers. So if I'm gonna say cut 1. I want everyone to be parry 4. All right. You don't have to put your microphone on. I can see if you're doing it or not. All right. So into the Long Point. And cut 1. Parry 8. Cut 1. Parry 8. Long Point. Good. All right. Good. I think that works pretty well. Let me see what our... Okay, let's do the next one. So we're going to try... We got just a wee bit of time. Let's see if we can get in all the riposte, general Gemeinfechten ripostes for cut 1. All right? So this next part is, as the feeder, I'm still going to provide cut 1, and you're going to parry court, or parry 4th. So I cut 1, you parry 4. Now you're going to cut 6 back. So it's going to look like 4, 6. All right, again, 4, 6. All right. So I'm going to cut 1. And then I have to parry in 3rd. All right. So, but you don't worry about that. You just worry about parrying in 4th and returning 6. All right. So I'm going to. So everyone in the long point. Cut 1. Good. Into the long point. Cut 1. Good. Long point. Cut 1. Good. All right. So, let's go through all of those together. All right. So the first one, you're going to parry 4, cut 2, parry 4, cut 4, parry 4, cut 6. So parry 4, cut 2, parry 4, cut 4, parry 4, cut 6. All right. And my job is only to keep. I'm going to just keep throwing Oberhaus at you. All right. And then when we're done, we're going to end in the long point. All right. So let's begin in the long point. And cut 1. Cut 1. Cut 1. Good. And return to the long point. All right. Let's do it again. Cut 1. Cut 1. Cut 1. Good. Excellent. So those are the. There's one more. There's one more canonical Gemeinfechten return or Nachschlag to the to this. So that is after you've parried 4th, you're going to from that left fluke, you're going to thrust to the face. All right. So parry 4th, thrust. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to cut 1. Let's just do just this part. I'm going to do cut 1, and then you're going to thrust, and which my response, I believe, is just to continue parrying in 4th. All right. So let's begin in the long point. Cut 1. Good. Back to the long point. And cut 1. Back to the long point. Cut 1. Good. Yeah. Good. Now this thrust that comes from that 4th, that can be straight in or that can be ox. That can either so that can either be an Einschießen from a shooting in from here or from a winding. Again, it's something that kind of depends on where our swords end up meeting on the parry, right? So yeah. So let's do all of these together. Let's go through the whole list. All right. So let's begin. Well, since we're going to be so formal and try to do everything, let's begin. Swords on our left shoulders. Salute. To the ready position. Into the long point. I'm going to cut 1. I'm going to cut 1. Cut 1. Cut 1. There we go. That looked great. All right. So, does anyone have any questions? Yeah, that's I think that is something that oh, you mean so are you talking about like so when the feeder or the player returns cut 4? Yeah. That's later on. That is later on, but yes, it does make sense. For yeah, yeah, yeah. This is just one of those things that's kind of training. You get to kind of train cut 4 is warded by um, both parry 8 and by 2. So this is just one of the implementations of it, and it also makes it easier for that return cut 1. All right. All right. So it's just about what 8 o'clock now, a little after 8 o'clock now. Um, we're gonna be doing a movie night that will start a little somewhere between like 8:45 ish. Um, what I encourage everyone to do between now and 8:30, two things: practice, practice. Take a little extra time and practice on this new, especially this new stuff we worked on. There's a PDF in the Discord. I believe it's pinned to the top of the longsword on the section that should have this in it. If not, I'll double check. But this should be there. And also stretch. Do a little wind down stretching when you're done. And drink a bunch of water because it's freaking hot. um, um, Thank you everyone for joining me. It's always great to see all your lovely faces, even though it's through this weird Zoomosphere. This class is. I always record my end of the class, so and I'll be posting it. So if people want to review stuff from it, it'll be out on the interwebs. If you get a chance, please drop me a tip in my Ko-Fi, which is ko-fi.com/PeterJHaas. There's a link somewhere. I don't know if it's being displayed on screen right now or not, because I'm working for tips, folks. Does anyone else? Are there any announcements or anything that I'm not remembering, aside from the fact that it's Dina's birthday this weekend, so everyone should tell her happy birthday? Huh. So yeah, yeah, if there's no other announcements, thank you everyone for joining me, and I'll be on the Discord for the rest of the night, so I'll see y'all there. All right, bye.